We are the Halusa Nation.
Tune in to Buland Awaz and The Rational on CFRO 100.5 FM. And, here we are, been around almost that long, well, some of us around longer, on Vancouver's original choice of authentic public affairs content from a people of color perspective. We're always different all the time, broadcasting from the unceded Coast Salish territories on Turtle Island. Find us at www.coopradio.org and at a variety of stops on the internet. And for listeners that want to play along, this week's secret answer is Barat, B-A-R-A-T. You can type that into the subject line of an email to pakoraradio@gmail.com, P-O-K-O-R-A, radio, all one word, @gmail.com, and find out what happens. Buland Awaz and The Rational co-produce critical discussion on relevant issues weekly and often through existential lenses such as: what is Western liberalism's relationship with human bodies of the global majority? And this context very much underlines today's discussions that we will have over the next couple hours. At 6:30 on The Rational, Halina Farikzada, a co-organizer of A Window to an Afghan Heart, which is happening on November 20th, will tell us about that event, that fundraiser. At 6 p.m. on The Rational, Rehab Nazzal will talk about On Borrowed Time, an exhibition of drawings and paintings by Palestinian Gaza-based artists happening in the city between November 24th and 27th. 5 p.m. on Buland Awaz, Rukhsar Ali, our resident futurist and scholar of journalism, will talk about film Dune, her review and comments on that. But first, we're going to be joined with Michael Buchert, Vice President of CJPME, Canadians for Justice and Peace in the Middle East, and he will be joining us to talk about the results of a new poll they and a number of national advocacy organizations collectively commissioned, which is on Canadians' attitudes towards Arabs. So this is what we've got lined up for you. Keep staying with us. We're going to take a break and get all that going. This is our friends. Well, if you didn't already know, that was A Tribe Called Red from their Halusa Nation album. As we had promised, we have with us on the line is Rehab Nazzal, who will be talking to us about this fantastic exhibition that's on right now called On Borrowed Time. It's an exhibition of drawings and paintings by Palestinian Gaza-based artists that's happening November 24th to the 27th at the Monica Reyes Gallery, with a closing reception and a walkthrough on Saturday, November the 27th. Hello so much. Thank you for joining us. I'm really, really curious about this exhibition that's happening, and it's fantastic to view works from Gazan artists in this city. I want to just start out by asking you, like, how did you guys get the stuff here?
Well, first of all, thank you for your interest in this exhibition. The exhibition, as you mentioned, titled On Borrowed Time in Gaza, Art in Confinement. I actually got to the artworks, about 200 of them, when I visited Gaza last June after the latest Israeli genocidal attack on Gaza, which is the fourth within 12 years. So I traveled to Gaza through Egypt, and my travel was actually mainly for helping children in a program, art therapy program, to help traumatized children cope with their trauma, continuous trauma. And while I'm there, I visited many artists in their studios, and I was fascinated by the artwork I've seen there. And also when I listen to the artist, they are not allowed to take their work out. Of course, I mean, we all know when we talk about Gaza that Gaza is under blockade for the past 14 years. The 2.2 million Palestinians who live in the province of Gaza have been under blockade for the past 14 years. And neither the artist can go out and nor the artwork can go in or out. So Gaza is under isolation from the world, and not just from the world. It's isolated from the Palestinian community beyond the province of Gaza. Like Gaza historically has Jerusalem as its urban center, and it's isolated even from there, 40 minutes away only. I myself, when I went to Gaza, I couldn't see my mother, who just across the checkpoint, because I was not allowed. So I decided to bring some of the artworks. And of course, I couldn't bring everything, like sculptures. There was no way I can bring any sculpture with me. So I brought drawings and paintings, about 200 of them. And I also brought some of the drawings that children created while I was working with them. It was a very, very difficult journey I've made there, but I am determined to bring the artwork to the public, to exhibit the artworks, and first of all, to support the Palestinian artists who work under these conditions, and as well to create some awareness about the disasters that are happening in Gaza. 14 years, people living without access to essential, life essentials. No drinking water, no power, no electricity for 4 or 5 hours a day. Drinking water, they have to buy it. The sewage generator treatment, whatever generator was bombed, and they can't repair it. They're not allowed to repair parts. The power generator as well was bombed and destroyed. So it's a disaster what's happening in Gaza.
Yeah, for sure. Tell us something about the artists themselves. Tell us something about the themes of their work that you've seen.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the title of the show on Baroud time in Gaza, Art in Confinement, tells us also about the artist and the content of their work. The 6 artists, Maha, Daya, Majdal, Nateel, Mohammed, Alhaj, Maisara, Baroud, Rufida, Sehwail, and Ganem, Alden. All of them work in the city of Gaza and in the refugee camps around Gaza. As you know, it's 365 square kilometers, the whole Gaza, with 2.2 million living. So these artists, their work, it's an expression of their life, of their experiences. One of the artists, which he has really a good number of sketches and drawings, and he's naming these series of drawings, Isolation 1, Isolation 2, etc. And he's reflecting, for example, on the use of phosphorus that penetrates the flesh of the people there when they were bombed in 2014, 2008, and 2009 with phosphorus. So you could see the faces. He's trying to depict the effect of phosphorus on the faces through portraits. Another reflecting on how the COVID isolation with a smile, it's like nothing changed for us. We're already isolated from the world. So he's reflecting on the isolation. Actually, it gave me time to work, he said, to work on my art. And nothing has changed for us. Perhaps to others in the world, they're isolated, but we are already isolated. Another artist reflected in her experience. In 2014, she was pregnant in her 7 months. So Israel in 2014 bombed Gaza for 51 days. She entered the 8th month of pregnancy while the death is raining over them. She was volunteering in a Shifa hospital and she would see bodies all the time. So she had 14 drawings hunting. When I saw them, I was deeply touched in her studio. Like, the bombing is very close to us. It's inch by inch. She doesn't know at the time, like the baby in her tummy and her 3-year-old daughter, are they going to live? Or when are they going to be dying? Or so all these questions, you can find them in the sketches and the drawings she made. Other artists, like the other, for example, Mohammed Alhaj, reflects on the Palestinian symbols, the beautiful embroidery, for example, the design, the tiles, the houses, all these attached to the Palestinian culture, along with Maha, Daya. They think like that even the culture is being targeted. The culture itself, all these beautiful emblems and symbols. So they recreate these in drawing and painting as well. So that's what we are going to see in the exhibition. And all the works are for sale, and they vary between like $50 into $2,000, so everyone can really buy a work of art. Some of them framed, others not, so we can give options to the people. The purpose of this show is to support the Palestinian artists in Gaza who work under dire conditions.
Well, it's an absolutely fantastic initiative. How was Vancouver chosen, or is this an exhibition that will be going to other places?
What a good question. That reveals not the trauma only in Palestine, including the province of Gaza, but also here, the racism that we encounter as Palestinian Canadians, the fear that still you can find it in art institutions, in academic institutions, in mainstream. You find it from attacks from the Zionist lobby in this country. So not every gallery is open for us, really. And so we approached Monica Reyes, and she welcomed without any hesitation. And I would say many of the galleries and art institutions depend on funding. And funders, usually, they don't get fund without conditions. And, for example, the Art Gallery of Ontario, the largest art gallery in Toronto, I personally was shocked when I saw the name of a funder on a plaque inside that gallery, the same name in Canada Park, between two quotations, that was built over 3 Palestinian villages destroyed in 1967. A recreational park was built there, and he funded, or part of the funders to that recreational park, while the residents of the 3 villages still refugees to this day. So you see the name there and the name here. That gallery is not open for Palestinians. And it's in the open. Everyone knows how anti-Palestinian racism is practiced deeply entrenched here in academic institutions, in the art institutions. So when you have no funding by specific lobby groups, you're free. You treat us as human, whether we are indigenous or we're Palestinians or whoever. So this is the case. I mean, she's an independent woman, the founder of this gallery. She doesn't care about, I don't want to speak on her behalf, but that's my assumption. We approached her professionally like we approach any other gallery. I did in Toronto tried to find a gallery, but I failed.
Wow. Yeah, thank you for that. I mean, it certainly expresses the reality that we know. But let's go back. Let's talk more about how listeners can find out more information about this, and talk to us a little bit more about how you're going about presenting it, as it is that you're doing a walkabout as well.
Yeah, I mean, the invitation can be found on social media, on Facebook and Instagram. Just people can type on borrowed time in Gaza Art in Confinement, and they can find further information. It opens on November 24th, and we have a reception, a closing reception on Saturday, November 27th at 1. Now, it opens the 24th from 12 to 5 every day. We will be there. Everyone is welcome. And the walkthrough with the curators would be the November 27th. There are groups who already booked an appointment for talks. They want to learn, and that's always the best way to learn about any conditions, not just take all propaganda and misinformation and misrepresentation, but first-hand information. Everyone is welcome. We don't close our doors for any.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that, actually, in sense of what has been the reception now that the publicity is out and folks are getting to know about it. What have you been hearing?
Well, all good. I mean, all good news. I've been hearing great support, sponsorship. We got 2 sponsorships. There is in Winnipeg, a group is interested to host the gallery. In Toronto, some people already purchased works of art. And because I'm including, as I said, a few drawings, I've never believed in exploiting children and children's suffering, of course. But some of the kids gave me their drawings, and specifically I worked with kids sick in the sick children's hospital, kids with cancer and with kidney dialysis. I would have sessions with them just working with art to release the pain they have. So some of them gave me these drawings. I'll be showing these drawings with no price tag on them. The people who want to have these drawings will pay whatever they want. Already 2 people put their names for these 2 drawings, but there are more. So,
and are you showing like all of the pieces right now?
We will show on the wall. You will see some of the pieces. We're not going to put the 200. Some of the pieces, and the rest will be on a table available for sale. Like from each series, about 10 series, we'll put at least 25 on the walls, framed and canvas already stretched, and will be for sale.
Right, and but the other works will be also there on display.
Yes.
Right.
Well, yes. I mean, on display, but not framed on the wall.
Sure. But folks will still be able to see them.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yes,
That's really good.
Yeah. So I mean, everyone is invited. I'm new to Vancouver. I've been here less than 2 months, and I'm not seeing that active artistic scene, cultural scene in the city, but maybe I'm wrong. But I hope everyone is able to come join us either after work or on Saturday. And afterward, after the exhibition, we will be putting the works online on our website. We'll announce this later. If anything left, we want to put it on the website to be available for sale online as well.
That's awesome. That's really, really awesome. And sure, you're right about the art scene in Vancouver. It takes a little bit of time to know what's going on. We're a smaller center than Toronto or Montreal that certainly has a larger interest. But it's wonderful that you got this chance to show it here in Vancouver. It's going to be a success, and I'm sure that all of this other interests that is generating will mean that people over there will be able to also view this work and ultimately online, perhaps.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping. I mean, it's the COVID, as you know, the COVID restriction probably affected the country here. Although when I was in Gaza for weeks, I attended 4 openings in 4 galleries, including the French Cultural Center in Gaza. They were amazing, really. Less paranoia I found in regards to COVID. So I'm sure still people hesitant to go back to normal life, but all the regulations will be followed in the gallery, masks, of course, and sanitizers, everything available. And if it gets crowded, we will regulate this too.
That's awesome. I'm so happy that you shared that with listeners. It's really awesome. I mean, it's like don't be scared of anything. Just come, and hang out.
Yeah. I mean, perhaps I forgot probably to mention at the very beginning, and I expected you actually to ask me what is it on borrowed time in Gaza.
Well, let's talk about that. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, because I contributed a photo essay right after my return from Gaza to the Journal of Visual Culture, which was dedicated entirely for Palestine this past summer as a solidarity with the Palestinian people and their suffering and their struggle for freedom, for self-determination. It's too long of a suffering, too long of a struggle. On borrowed time in Gaza. On borrowed time, Israel made the Palestinians in Gaza operate on borrowed time. What I mean, they operate without any time or space to cope between one attack, one massacre, and one trauma and another.
Like relentless.
Since 1948, and you're talking about 70% of Gaza population are refugees who were expelled from their homes, their land, in what became the state of Israel. And they're living in refugee camps, the majority, aside from the city of Gaza and Khan Yunis, in refugee camps, crowded, the highest really crowded area on earth. So from the Nakba into the occupation and building colonies in Gaza, taking off these colonies later on 2005, then imposing the blockade on the population with 2 gates only, militarized gates, control what gets in and out, and they can close for months and nothing can get in or out, whether people or goods as well. So trauma after trauma, no time. This is what I've noticed, and I gave the same title for the photo essay I contributed to the Journal of Visual Culture on borrowed time, because people cannot heal from all these traumas. So it's continuous since 48, over 70 years. It's an intergenerational trauma, which takes me back to where we are now in Canada. It's the same suffering that our sisters and brothers, indigenous people of this country of Turtle Island, encountered for hundreds of years. It is exactly the same, because the same project in Palestine, it's a settler colonial project, like here, exactly. It targeted people, it labeled people savages, uncivilized, and you hear this about Palestinians, for example, but with the new term, of course, terrorists, the new term, terrorists, uneducated, backward. It's exactly labeling indigenous people with all these labels to justify the land theft. I will name it. I'm not going to use land seizing, which is the same. Land theft, oppression of children, targeting culture so people can forget. And I would say the indigenous people of this country, they're rising up. They can't forget. The Palestinians cannot forget. And they will continue, and that's what I've witnessed across the West Bank and Gaza. It's suffering, that's true, but it's intertwined as well with resilience, steadfastness. So yes, that's how people are living trauma after another without any break between to heal or cope.
Yes, absolutely. And these connections that you make with indigenous folk that live out here is completely 100% correct. And we have often pointed this out to listeners who may not be aware that it is just a difference of degree, but in terms of the moral aspect of it, it's exactly the same.
Yeah, the moral and the actual physical. I mean, settler colonialism, it's always about land.
Well, that's right. And bodies.
Just
and
the
yes.
people, they want the land without people in it, then bring other people to replace them.
Sure.
Basically, what's happening here, what's happening in Palestine. Replacing the indigenous people with settlers. You can see this even in the West Bank, where there is an international law between two quotations defined in 1967 as an occupied land, and the state of Israel that was established in 1948 is not allowed to bring civilians to 1967, but they're doing it every single day. There's 500,000 settlers in colonies built on stolen land in the West Bank. And Canada, when I said Canada is part of this, and in relation to the art institutions and the funding that comes with conditions to suppress the Palestinians, to practice actually racism openly against Palestinians in this country. Canada is part of this process. Why? How could this war crime, according to international law, be allowed to expel 10,000 Palestinians from 3 villages in 1967? We're not talking about 48, 67. 3 villages, 10,000 residents forced to walk on foot, become refugees, and many were killed under the rubble of their homes when they demolished their homes. And now a recreational park built
Yes,
by
that Canada,
a Canadian
exactly.
charity.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Deep connections between Canada and Israel, supporting each other because, as you had mentioned, both are settler colonial states. Both treat human bodies differently.
Yeah. Dehumanizing of indigenous people. That's how it started. Yeah, less human. Yeah, exactly what's happening in Gaza.
Yes, it's a very, very different and slow process occurring here, but one can see definite parallels, and this is why these two countries support each other consistently.
Yeah, absolutely. And the silence, the complicity, the silence, the racism, the denial of the basic rights, the conditions in Gaza. I mean, when I came back, it's shame on humanity to allow this to continue to happen. Like 2.2 million people are dying slowly because of calculated calories that enter into Gaza. They're not allowed to consume beyond what makes them just alive. And every few years, bombard them with American-made weapons, destroying their infrastructure, their homes, their streets, their hospitals. It is beyond imagination what's happening there.
And Rehab, so this is why what you are putting together along with your colleagues, along with the Monica Rice Gallery, is so critical and important. On Borrowed Time in Gaza, Art in Confinement will give Canadians and people who live here a chance to see some of this productive value, at least in art form, talking about these themes under really, really definitely severe occupation. It's going to be a window into thinking about and processing some of our own complicity in this situation.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. I hope people learn from the art, at least, because it's a universal language, the art. And the art can express what sometimes words cannot, text cannot. It has meanings, it has reflections, it has cultural aspects, identity aspects. So I hope people can come and see that and learn from that and support the artists there.
I think it's going to be awesome, and it's happening November 24th to the 27th at the Monica Rice Gallery, and there's going to be a closing reception and a walkthrough on Saturday, November the 27th. And for folks that want more information, it's the title is On Borrowed Time in Gaza, Art in Confinement, and it's pretty easy to find on the internet, this information. But where would you let listeners go to? Perhaps directly to the gallery, or is there another place that they can go to get this info?
Well, on social media, it's being circulated. There are many activists actually also taking this. The Palestinian youth movement are circulating. There is a whole group of supporters and volunteers who are coming after we posted this on Facebook. And now on Instagram, there are going to be 2 events on Instagram. One next Friday, Friday the 12th, will be with me about the exhibition. The Friday after will be with the artists from Gaza. At least 2 of them who are comfortable with English, considering the time difference, 11 hours. Yeah. There's going to be an event on Instagram. We let the artists themselves talk about their art and their experiences. As well, I want, and I should not forget this, I am working with artist Jay Saloom, the prominent artist, Canadian artist Jay Saloom, as well as with art historian Jeff O'Brien. The 3 of us, from the very beginning, we are working together on organizing this exhibition. And I am sincerely thankful to them and to Monica Rice as well. Not just for their humanity and for their support and for belief in justice and rights for the colonized and oppressed people, but for facing all that slander and attacks from the Zionist lobby in this country.
Thank you. Thank you very much for those shout-outs, and also for organizing this, for working together to make this thing happen, for having the vision to put it together, and for letting folks know it's more than just information, but it's cultural exchange, and it's really about location and bodies and treatment of human beings. Rehab, thank you very much once again, and we look forward to touching base with you as we go down the road.
Thank you so much. Thank you, and you also are welcome to join us. Maybe Saturday, it's not a working day. You're welcome to come directly to the reception. We might be able to connect with the artists themselves in Gaza.
Awesome. That'll be really awesome. Looking forward to it. Thank you very much once again, and best of luck with the rest of the run.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay,
Take
bye-bye.
care.
Take care. So, once again, it's called On Borrowed Time in Gaza, Art in Confinement. It's going to be really, really easy to find. That's the show where we spoke with Michael Buchert from the CJPME, the Canadians for Justice and Peace in the Middle East, on their new report on the Canadians' attitudes towards Arabs. We then spoke with Rukshar Ali, on their article titled "Here's How the Dune Sequel Can Fix the First Movie's White Savior Complex." That's available on the CBC network. We switched over onto The Rational and spoke with Rehab Nazzal on a really funky exhibition here in town, catch it while you can, called On Borrowed Time in Gaza, Art in Confinement. It's happening at the Monica Rice Gallery from November 24th to the 27th, with a walkthrough on Saturday, November the 27th. And then we just spoke with Halina Farrokhzada on a fundraiser gala dinner titled A Window to an Afghan Heart. Please check out the two festivals, the fundraisers, the Borrowed Art in Confinement and A Window to an Afghan Heart. Check out as well Rixar's Ali's article, Here's How Dune Sequel Can Fix Its First Movie's White Savior Problem. And also check out the CJPME website and find a copy of their new report on Canadians' attitudes towards Arabs. So, as I said, we're going to leave you with John Trudell. Take care until next week. Hang in there.
We are going through an identity crisis as human beings.